authority. WFX has America.
And we welcome you into another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. And we welcome you into the Goon and Ironhead show here on a yucky Tuesday afternoon here in the Valley of Happiness. Hang on just a second. Dear Goon, I think, will be joining us momentarily. And we welcome you in. Lots to go over. Obviously, the national championship yesterday won by the Cheaters from Ann Arbor. And we deal with that, I guess. It is what it is, as the kids will say. Don't think it sends a great message, but right in line with the Houston Astros, right in line with the New England Patriots. Hey, why not? Add to the long list of teams with success and championships with the scandals, the cheating that has occurred behind them. But I will say Michigan was impressive in all fairness. However they got there, whatever they did to get there, very impressive, rushing for over 300 yards, got very good pressure on Penix, and that was, I think, ultimately the difference in the game is Michigan's ability to run the ball and to get pressure on Penix and not allow him to get comfortable. That is probably as poor a game, and I did not watch all of the Washington games throughout the course of the year. And sorry, we're just double checking some things on line right now as we work to get the Dear Goon in. Couple of things regarding the Penn State, by the way, finishes 13th for whatever it's worth in the Associated Press poll. Did see somebody already came out. Was it might have been Stuart Mandel came out with the way too early peak at next year. And I think Penn State, I'll double check. I'll pull it up. I think they were 18th. They were in the top 20, but not in the top 12, which is a fair assessment. Again, there's a lot of questions, I think, for Penn State coming off of the loss to Ole Miss. Listen, I think Penn State could very well be a playoff team next year with the 12-team format, but I certainly don't sit here right now and think that that is a guarantee by any stretch. I think with the schedule Penn State has and with the significant losses on defense. Now, I think there's a lot of talent coming back on defense, but man, you're losing a lot of studs, a lot of playmakers off of this year's team. And along with Manny Diaz, I think is fair to at least question how good that Penn State defense will be. I think everybody presumes there will be a drop-off. The question, I think, is, okay, how much of a drop-off is there at the defense? And if it's not much, again, I think Penn State could be right in the thick of things next year because I do think the offense will be improved. Although kind of same thing there. Well, I think the defense is going to drop off. I'm not sure how much. I do think the offense will be improved, but I'm not sure how much. I think Drew Aller will be better at quarterback. I think they'll have a better understanding of how to use Bo Pribula at quarterback. I think the tight end production will be, even though you lost a great one in Theo Johnson, I think the tight end production will be every bit as good next year as it was this year, if not better. But, how much improved is Drew Aller? The offensive line, I think, is a question mark. You're likely replacing 3 starters there. And, some good news with Nolan Rucci for sure coming in. But again, exactly how good is he? How good can that line be? I think that's really tough to project with any kind of certainty at the moment. I believe the Dear Goon is joining us. The Dear Goon, I do believe not 100% healthy today. I'm just trying to see. I gotta lock up on our screen. Just see if I have that rectified. All right. Dear Goon, are you with us?
What's up, Head? You hear me?
I might not have something. Let me just see. Oh, yeah. Hang on. I'm just not hearing you because of the sound. There you are, Dear Goon. How are you?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm all right. I think better than you. Appreciate your playing through the pain on this Tuesday. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy. We'll get there.
Let's talk.
Well, you saw my highlights I sent you, right? I mean, if we want to talk about Flyers, Penguins, the Steelers, the Eagles, Michigan winning the national, it's been a great couple days for me, bud.
Yes. Yeah.
Holy crap.
I understand. Not an ideal situation for you. I will say the Penguins game kind of saved the night for me last night. And I know, like, we keep having this ongoing discussion. I get it. I understand that Michigan winning helps Penn State, makes the schedule look that much better. Big Ten, all of that. I get it. I'm still not rooting for them. I'll take the benefits, whatever benefits they are for Penn State in the conference of a Michigan win, but I'm not outright rooting for the Wolverines. Sorry, just not happening.
I'm right with you. But I told you, one of my best friend's kids plays for Michigan, and I root for him. And he does well, but I mean, I just can't, I guess, lower myself to root for Michigan. And I mean, your honest opinion, do you think that they will get sanctioned or will get in trouble for the sign stealing and recruiting stuff? Do you think that's going to come back to play?
I don't know. That is a really good question. I don't know what to think about all of that. Listen, at the end of the day, I guess if you pin me down, I think Harbaugh is NFL bound. I think he does not want to put up with and I obviously have no idea. I mean, this is pure speculation based on nothing but just kind of a gut feeling. But I think Harbaugh, there's a couple of things in play. One is I think he genuinely feels persecuted. Like, I don't think he thinks that they got one up on the NCAA or anything. Like, I think in his mind, it's like, well, yeah, you stretch the rules as far as you can. And I think he regards the situation with the side stealing as something that everybody does. And the recruiting stuff, Goon, is just it's a mess because I think they can fairly point to a ton of other situations throughout college football and be like, why are you persecuting their terminology, persecuting us, and you're not going after these other things that are more egregious? You still are not supposed to, right, be bringing paying players before they get to campus, right? The NIL stuff isn't, hey, here's a check, now come to Penn State. Well, that is happening. Like, I mean, it without maybe knowing it. Like, I don't have proof that that's happening anywhere, but it's happening. If not the actual check or money being handed, that the promise, the guarantee is there. That is not supposed to be. I mean, by the letter of the law right now, you can't be doing that. And listen, the whole feel of college athletics, it has already changed. I think it is going to change significantly more here over the next few years, Goon. And I think it is going to be interesting to see what the reaction of college football fans are. And I can see it going a bunch of different ways. There were a lot of people predicting that, free agency would be the downfall of professional sports, and, that fans aren't going to want to tune in and when they don't know if the player is going to be there from one year to the next. And obviously we adjusted as sports fans, and, pro sports is as popular as ever, certainly as profitable as ever. And maybe that's going to be the case with college football. It's like, yep, it's completely different. The business side of it is something we don't like, but yep, it's still the game. We're still going to tune in. Maybe that's the case, but I wonder a little bit, Goon, because of the feel that I think college football has. I think one of the things that attracts people to college football is that it's not the NFL, that you have the bands and the cheerleaders, and there's a pageantry to the game day experience in college. And obviously you're pulling on your, hey, that's where I went to school. That's my school. And even if you didn't go there, it's like, well, that's my school because my friends went there. It's my school because I always followed it. We watched it with my dad when I was a kid. Whatever it is, there is I think even a more connected feeling with your college teams than there is with the NFL. I don't know if that remains if we get to the point, and I think we are going to get to the point pretty rapidly, where it is just a direct pay to play situation here in college football.
Yeah, well, I mean, what they're talking right now is, how much did Michigan make on that bowl last night, and how much the players going to get, because the players have already negotiated all their NIL deals, but Michigan's still going to get $100 million or whatever bonus check or whatnot. The coaches are going to get their $200,000 bonus. Harbaugh will get his $1 million bonus, and until that changes, you're going to have this allegations, I think you could say, until there is profit sharing type of thing. I shouldn't say profit sharing. I'm saying, sharing of just some of the checks, some of the money that's coming into the universities and into the Big Ten and into the NCAA. I mean, they got to start sharing out, I think, with the players. Again, I say this as a way of getting out of the NIL, where every kid's different type of thing. But my stuff from the start has always been, it's not going to be fair to all of the guys on the team, and specifically, as an offensive lineman, are they getting the same amount of money as the backup quarterback type of thing? And it's, I don't know. I mean, we can honestly, we've been talking about this for 2.5 years now, every show. So it needs fixed. But do you think that? Do I think Harbaugh stays? I don't know. Just go the Pete Carroll route, and the NCAA's at the door, and he runs to the Seattle Seahawks when and left USC in shambles. So, does Harbaugh do that? Does he stay? Does he use it to get a bonus? I don't know. It'll be an interesting offseason. But did he even have an offseason? Because they were already ranting and raving on him today about going to the NFL already. I mean, it's like he didn't. He probably had no time to enjoy that Super Bowl or that title last night.
I don't know. It looked like he was enjoying it, at least in the moment. I think he took a lot of satisfaction for a lot of different reasons in being able to finish that thing off, or have his team finish that thing off the way they did last night.
They played great. They played absolutely fantastic. Lights out on both sides of the ball.
They really did. And it was up front, Goon. We thought that's probably where Michigan had an advantage going into this one. I said going in, I think Penix is the better quarterback, and normally, all things being even, I'll take the team with the better quarterback, but I don't think all things were even. I think Michigan just has an exception. And it's not that I think Washington doesn't have good line play. I think they do. I just think Michigan is exceptional this season, and I think that bared out last night. 303 yards rushing in a national championship game in this day and age is pretty doggone special.
174 in the first quarter, so they went out there with that attitude and that's what we said from the start is that, we're built. Penn State is specifically built to beat Ohio State because that's who we've been chasing for 20 years. And Harbaugh just said, you know what? I'm not going to build myself to beat Ohio State. We're going to build a historic, bludgeoning Big Ten team, and we're going to go out and bludgeon people. And that's what they've done. They've gone out and just absolutely just tore people up and just imposed their will on both sides of the ball. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, it was. Frustratingly so, but it was, no question, an impressive performance by the Wolverines last night. And so the Cheaters from Ann Arbor get the national championship they have been seeking. And now we sit back and await the decision here from Jim Harbaugh and the NFL. Again, I obviously have no insight. I get the feeling that one, he doesn't have anything left to prove now. I mean, he's won the national title with Michigan. I think dealing with the NCAA and all of that stuff has just taken a toll on him. And I don't think it's something he wants to continue. And I think there's a desire to get back to the NFL, to get back to the highest level in his mind of football. And, I know the Commander's job is open, and I heard some of the speculation that maybe he ends up there. San Diego does feel like just kind of a natural fit. But one way or another, I think he does end up back at the NFL. And then it'll be interesting to see what Michigan does with its head coach, if that happens, and kind of how things pan out next year for the Wolverines. McCarthy could come back next year. Like that is, a possibility there. And I don't know whether that is would be predicated in any way on what Harbaugh's decision is. I don't know if McCarthy would be okay with, hey, let me be the guy that kind of holds this thing together with a new tenure, or if, Harbaugh stays, he stays, Harbaugh leaves, he leaves. I don't know. I don't know what the thought process on any of that is. But I will say if both Harbaugh and McCarthy are gone, it's hard to imagine Michigan not dropping a spot or two anyway in the Big Ten next season.
Yeah, the new Big Ten at that. And then, who's going to replace him? I mean, heck, that's Sharon Moore, the O-line, the offensive coordinator, did a heck of a job in those 3 games in his, 3 games when he was suspended at the end of the year. So, they have to feel pretty good about where they're going forward if Harbaugh does leave, which I do. I think he will leave. Just because of what you said, and that is that he's accomplished everything he wanted to accomplish.
Yeah.
He got Michigan back to where they wanted to be, where he expected them to be, where their fans want them to be, and act like they are. So he's done everything he's promised them. So what is staying on? And he could name a price in the NFL. I mean, he can go out to Oakland or Las Vegas and coach the Raiders, I think. I think that, Davis has always had a little something for him in his heart. San Diego, he has roots there with playing for them. And then Chicago, he was the Bears quarterback for a while there. So, 2 of those 3 are open. So who knows 3 of those are open. So who knows what's going to happen?
I realize it's not a big deal, and in the overall scheme of things, who gives a whit, but the AP rankings, final rankings came out, and Georgia is 4 and Alabama is 5. And I get Alabama has 2 losses, but Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, and that other loss came in the semifinals, which Georgia couldn't get to because Alabama beat them. Again, am I going to spend a lot of time crying for Alabama here? No, but it is one of those things that's like, come on. And I think it's partly, man, they think Georgia looks so good against Florida State. Again, it was a completely, and I get Georgia had a bunch of players out too, but that was a completely depleted Florida State team.
Yeah, that was a JV squad out there playing. That was thank God. We said last week, thank God for the NCAA having these playoff games because they saved bowl season because bowl season was really, really, really bad this year. Not just for the Big Ten. I'm just talking about it, watching the games. There's really no games that we were, like we talked about last Tuesday, is that, what game do you remember that was amazing in that bowl season other than the playoff games? And I'm like, maybe the LSU Wisconsin possibly, but that's about it. That's like the only game that was even worth its while.
Yeah, there were not a lot of great competitive down to the wire type of games, save for the two semifinal games. I really thought, Goon, last night, I did think Michigan would win, but I really thought this was going to be a coin flip of a game, and it would be similar to the two semifinal games where it would come down to the final drive one way or another, somebody either making a stop or scoring. All credit to Michigan. I don't think Washington played all that poorly, and I think a good part of why Penix did have one of his poorer performances had everything to do with the pressure that Michigan was getting on him. And, you talk about it all the time, Gun, and we talk about it with Aller. If you get pressure on him early, he seems to get frazzled. Well, here's a guy who's a veteran and clearly a high-end NFL prospect, and he got rattled. I mean, that incompletion on the wide open receiver was bad. And I can't prove it, but to my mind, that the reason that throw was not made, there were, ghosts or footsteps being heard, whatever you want to call it. Because, that play needs to be made by an average quarterback. And certainly if you have a superstar that's carrying the weight of your team, you have to have him make that throw in the big moment. And I really thought that was kind of a turning point. I think Michigan wins the game, even if that pass is made ultimately. But I think that incompletion to a large degree, Goon, just kind of sealed the fate last night. It was just not meant to be for Washington.
Any momentum they had going into there, at that point, because they had some mojo building right there, and they could have gotten up to 17-10 or 17-13, I think, would have been huge. It's like he gunned it in there, and it was just like, dude, you just needed to throw it, just lob it in there, and then he didn't, by throwing it so hard, he didn't give his receiver a chance to even to make a move or to make it a attempt at it. So, yeah, that was one of those okay, that's gonna remember that, put that in your mind because that's what's gonna come back, and that's when the game changed, in my opinion. And then Michigan running for 174 yards in the first quarter. Washington was there to make the play, but if the one guy didn't make the tackle, Michigan was staying on their blocks and blocking from behind. So there was really no support. And those two big cutback touchdowns were enormous. And then Corum had the 61-yard run without a touchdown. Geez, and that was just ridiculous how they gutted them early and often.
Yeah, I thought the vision, and the Lions certainly deserves credit, but the vision by those backs was pretty special. You talk about guys that have just a feel for how to get to the open field. That was pretty special stuff on display by Michigan last night down at NRG Stadium in Houston. Lots to get into today, Goon. Let's go next to Penn State basketball because the win at the Palestra was huge, obviously, for this team, especially coming off the beatdown at the hands of Michigan State. And then the way that game started, it's like, ugh, oh, man, here we go. This is going to be just a long, long season. And then all of a sudden, kind of caught fire there at the end of the first half. And really parlayed it into just an amazing second half. Ended up shooting over 55% from the floor. Put it together with a terrific pressure defense, forcing turnovers, scoring points off turnovers, and they get a big win that gets them back over 500 for the season and back to 500 in the Big Ten. And now you have a big opportunity, Goon, 2 home games coming up, starting with Northwestern, and a chance here to maybe make a bit of a move in the conference here in January.
How about the 2 wins are over Ohio State and Michigan? I mean,
Love it.
Where have we heard that before?
Yes, indeed.
I don't know. Have I ever told you? Have you ever been to the Palestra? Have you been?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. I think we went. I don't think I've seen a basketball game there. We've been to a few wrestling tournaments. I'm trying to think. I may be wrong about that. There's somewhere in the back of my mind, I feel like at some point, not recently anyway, I have not seen a basketball game.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State, they do a better job. They got to do that on a Saturday afternoon, in my opinion. You can't do that on Sunday afternoon, especially when kids are moving back into state college.
Yeah.
School started today or yesterday, so just, I don't know, it wasn't proper timing or whatever, but it's still going to sell out because, I mean, I played there. I grew up down there. My brother played there for LaSalle in the Big Five all the time. So I have seen 1,000 games there. And I'm telling you, I would love to go to every time that they play. But on Sunday afternoon, it's just not feasible because I do like to make the afternoon out of it. We played Michigan State, we played Iowa, and we have played Purdue there. Now, Michigan, I think we're 3-1 against those teams. And I believe so. I know we beat Sparty. I know we beat Iowa. We lost to Purdue last year, and then obviously Michigan yesterday or Sunday. Awesome place to play. They should make a whole weekend out of it. They should have the Philly weekend down there, the Penn State weekend in Philly, in my opinion. Wrap around the hockey game, maybe like they did up in New York City a couple of years ago, Madison Square Garden. But yeah, I mean, Michigan's not Michigan this year. They're down pretty good, but I don't care. It's still Michigan, it's still that name, the name recognition, and having that win. Losing by 30-some points to Michigan State Thursday, or Friday, and then coming back on Sunday and beating Michigan. That's a nice recovery game for Rhodes, and now you know that the kids are believing in him, and they may get hot and stay hot the whole season. Who knows? They're first time really playing together. They've only been playing together for 2 months now, so maybe some things are clicking. I mean, they shoot that well again. They could beat anybody.
Yeah, this will be a big test here with Northwestern, which after Michigan State whipped Penn State, Northwestern pretty well whipped Michigan State over the weekend here. So again, a chance for another. I guess almost every time out in the Big Ten, it's you can view it as a statement game. But I do feel like if Penn State can win this thing against Northwestern, again, you get maybe a little momentum going, a little traction, a little more confidence, a little more belief that this thing is coming together from within that locker room. One of the things, Goon, that I thought was really encouraging, and there were many things encouraging about Sunday's game, but one of them was Ace Baldwin, and not just, I mean, the 25 points obviously was phenomenal, but I thought that was his just best overall game as a Nittany Lion. To me, he was the tone setter on both ends of the floor for this team. And I think you could kind of feel the team feeding off of what he was doing, even when they were incurring the 14-point deficit there.
Yeah. I mean, that's Rhodes' guy from VCU. He's the one who brought him in there. So he knows how Rhodes is. And if you recall, Rhodes benched him twice this year. You know what I mean? So he has made a point out of Ace in how he coaches him, because there's no favoritism at all whatsoever. And so the other guys are going to get in line if that's the case. If Rhodes is willing to do that to his best player and his player that he brought in from VCU with him, I mean, all signs are pointing that this is going in the right direction, in my opinion, with Coach Rhodes. I mean, I really have that feeling that he's into it. He loves it. He's really spot on. He's a really, really good coach for this place because he wants to be here. He loves it here. I think he's in his ideal spot.
No, I agree with you. It feels like just a great fit, as you said, and I do think like this feels like it's a long-term fit, and that there's a chance here for legitimate sustained success for the first time in ever for Penn State basketball. So I do think that's exciting. Again, I think it's going to be. I don't think this is going to be a real consistent season, but I think you've seen enough now of the what this team can be, that it's like, yep, sign me up, whatever this season turns out to be. And it could very well turn out to be just fine when it's all said and done. But I think you should be excited if you're a Penn State fan about the future here, the style that Rhodes is bringing in, the mentality that he's bringing in. And listen, one of the things, the rebounding was atrocious here. And you've had, even in the Michigan State game, the rebounding isn't what killed them. The fact that they couldn't make a shot from the floor to save their lives, and Michigan State seemed to be dropping everything, was what killed them. But they have, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they are now one of the top rebounding teams in the country, but man, they clearly went to work on it. It's like, nope, we're just going to get better at it. And they've gotten a lot better in a very short period of time. They're not getting crushed on the boards here against teams that can crush you on the boards.
Yeah, and that's obviously a huge thing, and that's the big guy stepping up, and it's an attitude thing. I mean, getting the rebounds is definitely, that's a fundamental thing for the big guys to do. But you got 5 guys crashing the board. That's great, man. So you got to go with it. I mean, I do like how they're playing. I like their. Again, it's a lot to do. If they're shooting well, they're a great team to watch. But if they're shooting and they're off, it's bad. But there is one thing you can control, and you're right, it's rebounding, and that has put them behind the 8 ball multiple games this year. And they actually had much more improved on this past Sunday against Michigan.
Penn State hockey also rallied 4 goals down against Army West Point, and Guy Godowski's squad rallies for a 7-6 victory. And again, much the same thing, Goon. I just think a lot of things that you can take out of that and build on. Obviously, a huge series coming up against Sparty this weekend, back at Pagola on Friday night and Saturday.
Huge, big time, big game. And that was Guy's son playing for Army, by the way.
Yeah.
He was going against his dad. Great. So, going down 4-0 to Army and then coming back and beating them, huge game. One of those things that might change the season around, give them that all kind of that mojo, which they have rocking right now. So, it wasn't not a bad weekend, I guess, when everything's said and done.
And Friday night, Penn State wrestling beats Oregon State 36-3. That score, I would say, is not indicative of the type of game that one was. It was a really good game. Happy birthday, John, listening in on the stream. Very happy birthday. 1 year away from being able to legally partake in the alcohol.
20 was the worst year. Always you all your friends were going to the bars, you couldn't. It was always that tough year. Everybody always gets in trouble when they're 20 also. So watch it, John.
Gotta make it through one more year. We're pulling for you, John, but happy birthday. Josh Barr had a birthday Friday night for Penn State wrestling, the freshman. He was on the trip, but the Nittany Lions, I think, got a really good test from Oregon State, even though, again, the final dual meet score might not indicate that. And good, one of the things, we had a Penn State student on our morning show this week, and he has he's the founder of Today Sports, and which is a neat sports venture. But we got to talking with him about kind of what resonates with fans, and especially young fans in sports. And it really got me to thinking about this weekend from a Penn State sports perspective. Friday night, Penn State wrestling in Corvallis for the first time at Oregon State, first time in program history. And Gill Coliseum is just a really, really neat facility on that Oregon State campus, and holds just a little over 9,000. They had over 8,500 in there for the wrestling match, far and away their largest wrestling crowd. And it was just a neat atmosphere. It was a fun, and listen, the Oregon State fans were ready to explode. I thought they had a couple of major upsets almost in hand. Did finally get a win at 184, but it was a neat atmosphere, really neat place. And I think it was I'm hoping the Oregon State kids feel the same way, that it was just a cool experience. Maybe not as cool when you lose the dual meet 36-3, but to get the fans turning out to give the effort and the performance that they did, should be a good memory for those kids. Certainly for Trey Munoz, it will be. He's the one that got the win for Oregon State, knocking off Bernie Truax. But, taking Levi Haynes to the brink, taking Bo Bartlett to the brink, those are special moments for those young men. But so, we have that facility, that atmosphere, kind of a historic night for Oregon State and for Penn State wrestling. And then the next night, you have Pagola Ice Arena, one of the really cool modern ice arenas on any college campus anywhere. And you get the rally from 4 goals down to get the big win. And, yeah, you have the father coaching against the son playing for the other team. Just some neat dynamics there. And I think fun atmosphere, different type of scenario. And then you go to Sunday, and there's Penn State basketball also having to come back and doing so in one of the most historic basketball facilities in the country. And, if you're a Penn State fan and you got to go to one of those events and follow the other two, I mean, that is a special weekend. Like that's kind of, to me, what sports should be about, what you're hoping. And from a Penn State perspective, all the better, because your teams went 3-0 in those big events that, again, took on kind of a life of their own for different reasons.
Hey, so when you travel with the wrestlers, are they like rock stars? Are they pretty much the Beatles right now?
So one of the things, yes, to answer your question, one of the things that was, my opinion, spectacular about the event, the dual meet at Oregon State, and it was an event. They had the pep band there. They had the cheerleaders. They did everything they could. They had the raised mat on the platform. It was a big time event. One of the cool things they did, they have one of the like the Michael Buffer microphone that drops down in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
They had that dropping down from their scoreboard, and their PA announcer is out on the mat introducing the lineups. It was cool.
Nice.
It was
a scene of a Rocky.
Yeah, it was a neat added feature to that dual meet. But after the duel was over, I don't want to exaggerate, but it was hundreds of fans that lined up wanting autographs from a bunch of the kids, but Kale was the most sought after autograph. Kale signed every single one. And, there were, the way it works with those road trips is with one like this is they rent vans. And so you have some wrestlers that are waiting for their coach to come out, and then the van can go off and get food. And I didn't hear anybody complain, any of the wrestlers complain. And there were a few kind of mild attempts at just like, hey, Kale, we can give you an out. Cody's waiting for you. He needs to talk to you. And Kale's like, all right, just tell him to wait. And I've talked to Kale about this before. I mean, it is very deliberate. He does not want, part of why Penn State goes to an Oregon State, or years ago to Utah Valley, or to Cal State Bakersfield, Arizona State, Boston U when they did it, is to try to help the sport, help grow the sport. Well, part of that is you want the kids in particular, but you want the fans in general who go to those events to come away with a good feeling about it. And you want it to be as good a feeling as you can. Well, if you came to see Cal Sanderson and his team, and this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for some of these kids, and listen, some of the families were driving in from Idaho and Washington and Utah. And, I talked with a few folks that had driven. They're like, yeah, with it being as close, I mean, yeah, it was an 11.5-hour drive for me, but when else am I going to have? I'm like, so 11.5 hours is close to you. And they're like, well, like relatively, I mean, to get to Penn State would take me like 15.5, 16 hours. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. I am not kidding you. Cal signed every single autograph, and I don't think autograph request. I don't know how anybody that went to that event on Friday night would have come away. I mean, you might have been disappointed with the result if you're an Oregon State fan, but you could not have been disappointed with the experience. Again, I did not see any Penn State kid or coach turn away an autograph request. Ridiculously enough, I had a couple of people come over to me, and they're like, can I get a picture with you? We listen to you all the time.
Oh, nice.
We live in Idaho. I'm like, that is super cool. I'm like, of course. And so it was neat. It was just a neat night. And but to answer long-winded way of answering your question, yes, they are rock stars and then some, but they are really conscientious about what that means and the significance, especially with the young fans, of, hey, yeah, you come here, you wanted to meet me, shake my hand, get my autograph. We're going to make sure that happens. Like, that's going to be part of the memory of this night for you. And that is not insignificant. I think that is very special stuff. And this was not obviously any kind of abnormal situation. I'm sure it has happened at some point, maybe somewhere in his life. I will tell you, I have never, ever seen Cal say, I'm sorry, I can't do the autograph right now. I've got to do this, that, the other thing. Not saying it's never happened again. Chances are some point in your life, you just actually have to be somewhere. I am telling you, I have never personally witnessed Cal Sanderson not give an autograph when requested. Like,
that's
never.
amazing. That's awesome. I mean, there's a guy who has accomplished everything in this sport, could be a jerk if he wanted to, and not be a jerk, but he doesn't have to do the autographs. I mean, do you think Jim Harbaugh stayed for 2 hours signing autographs last night? No. I mean, Cal has always been of the ilk that wrestling needs to be, everybody has to have that experience. They're in it. They're all in it. They got to save the sport. I mean, he's doing everything in his power, his whole career to save the sport. So, God, man, the dude gets better and better all the time. So, actually, I got a Russ Rose story for you. So, when back in the early 2000s and mid 2000s, and when they were on that run with the women's volleyball team, he said he bought the team to Hawaii, and he says that they literally got off the plane and there was thousands of kids there looking there, knew every one of those girls, knew everything about them. It was like they were like their superstars. And Russ was like, they can walk through campus and people be like, who's that 6'2" blonde chick over there? Not knowing any idea who the hell it is, but they go to Hawaii and they know everybody, walk-ons, all these little kids are like, they're like the superheroes and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. And the old man had that aura about him. When we would go places, everybody would be looking at the old man. There's a special, he was a big person in the sports world, but he's never bigger than the team. And that's, for Cal to do that, I mean, that's amazing. That's just awesome. Just another story to put in your hat about Cal being just a superhuman being.
Yep. No doubt about
it. The head getting some love, huh?
Yep. We'll take a short timeout here. When we come back, want to talk NFL for a little bit here, Goon. The NFL playoffs get underway this weekend, and then we'll break down each of the 4 glorious goals in the Penguins' win last night. No, I'm just we will talk a little Penguins Flyers as well, though, as we continue with our Tuesday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Folks, Quaker Steak and Lube, our normal home. We're going to get back there someday soon. Today, the buffet gets underway in 15 minutes here.
Yep.
The all-you-can-eat wing buffet. Get yourself over there. Enjoy. Sure, it was packed last night for the national championship game and for the Penguins Flyers. It is a fantastic place to head and watch the NFL playoffs this weekend. It is a great place to stop in for lunch if you're looking for somewhere to meet up with a colleague, friend, family member that's in town, whatever it may be. Quaker Steak and Lube. We keep talking about it, Goon, but it really is great food, great variety, great selection. I mean, we're addicted to the wings, so we probably spend too much time talking about that, but you can't really spend too much time talking about or eating wings. But, man, they really do. They have a great menu. The service truly is phenomenal. And, again, if you're a sports fan, it is just the place to be. You've got the TVs all over the place. Tuned in to your favorite sports actions. Our thanks to Quaker Steak and Lube, our home on Tuesdays and Thursdays normally, and we appreciate their sponsorship of our program. A huge thank you as well to Sioka Motors and, of course, to Lion Country Kia, our title sponsor here of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. You can stop on in and check out your next vehicle, folks. Go do it. And 2 wonderful places to do so.
We're new sponsors, Timberland Bank, Timberland Credit Union, baby.
Oh, yes. A new
yep.
You need to give a little tag there.
Oh, yeah, we will.
Okay. We'll
Should
talk
be a commercial in there too.
Gotcha. And again, we're coming right back after this time.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Your hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back to the Goon and Ironhead show here on a Tuesday afternoon. It is, yucky. It is just plain yucky out. Got some snow, heavy snow this morning, and it's just been a wet, cold, windy, miserable day here in Happy Valley.
You're like me.
Yeah.
Wet, cold and miserable. Slim. Had I woke up this morning, it was pouring snow, came downstairs, took some pills and this and that, went back to bed. I woke up and it was pouring rain. So if I go back to sleep again, I might wake up, might be something else coming out of the sky.
Just looking
day, man.
Internet came out with its new rankings, and I'm trying to figure out something. And that is, how is Braden Davis not in the top 20 top 32 here yet? And Brandon Kaler, whom he beat pretty soundly on Friday night, is still ranked 15th. I feel like I must be missing something. I've gone through it like 4 times here during the break. I'm like, all right, I'm just overlooking his name, obviously. I don't know if there's a reason for that. If they don't, he's clearly the starter now. Maybe they're not looking at him as I guess that would be the only possible explanation, is that they aren't viewing him as the starter yet. Otherwise it just makes, and I don't know why you wouldn't view him as the starter. Even that in and of itself doesn't make sense to me. Very curious. Now I got to see real quick. I just want to see what they have here at 149 then, if that's going to be the same situation, because I'm guessing it will be. Yeah. Huh. That is curious to me. So Penn State will still have no ranked wrestlers at 25 or 49, despite the fact that their kids at those two weights just knocked off top 13 guys and are undefeated against wrestlers outside of the Penn State program. Kasak's only loss came to teammate Bill Bartlett down at 141. That's curious to me. Bizarre. Let's talk NFL playoffs, Goon. The Steelers get in, and they're actually riding some momentum. They win 3 straight. I get it. The Ravens are resting players. I know. I understand. I'm not saying it's the one of the great upsets in the history of sports or anything, but they did what they needed to do. You play the teams that are in front of you, and I don't think there was anybody. I would have given the Steelers like a 0.001% chance of winning the final 3 after losing the 3 and the way they lost those 3 leading into this final stretch. I didn't give the Steelers much better than about a 5% chance of finishing above 500 again under Mike Tomlin. I just didn't think they'd win 2 or 3. Now, I didn't know, obviously, the Ravens were going to rest as many people as they did on Lamar Jackson. But, man, say what you want about Mike Tomlin. This has been an injury-riddled season, and for that team to be in the playoffs, and listen, I think they have a puncher's chance. Now, T.J. Watt being out, to me, is a devastating blow for the Steelers. I've mentioned a couple times this year, Goon, like, to me, T.J. Watt should at least be in the MVP conversation. I think he is that important to the Steelers and what they do defensively. And listen, if he was healthy and ready to go, the Bills would still rightfully be favored. But over the course of 4 quarters, do I think TJ Watt could force a turnover or two from Mr. Allen that could be a difference maker? I do. Could the Steelers still do that? Yeah, it's possible. I think much less likely with TJ Watt out of the lineup.
Yeah. I mean, he is the straw that makes that stirs the whole drink there for them, in my opinion.
No doubt.
And, beating the Bills is getting to Josh Allen and making him make those stupid, dumb mistakes that he, casually makes every game. But if you don't have a TJ Watt doing that every play of the game, going after him, the chances of him having a dumb play go down significantly. So he is 100% out. If you watch the game Saturday, I've never heard a knee injury called out so fast in my life. It was a grade 3 sprain, and he's out for the game, and he's out, and you're like, whoa, this is without even having any kind of a X-ray or any kind of MRI type of thing. So it was a pretty bad injury, and self-inflicted too. Is his own guy.
Yeah.
But you can't fault a guy for that. As a player, a player's not going to be upset about that. It's just part of the game. So, but it's a good matchup for the Steelers. It really, really is. I mean, who do I want? I mean, obviously I'm going to go for the Bills, and not because I'm an anti-Pittsburgh, because with Johnny Butts up there and McDermott. So, but yeah, it's going to be a heck of a game. And if I got mad on Sunday, and my Carrie is like, what is your problem? And I was like, only one weather game on Sunday, that New England game. I mean, why would they not have Miami and Buffalo in Buffalo on a Sunday night in January? Early Come on, man. They play what, Sunday at 1:00?
Yeah, that's what I'm upset about is the Penn State wrestles Indiana in the Big Ten opener Sunday at 1:00. So before this, the schedule is released, I'm like, all right, as long as it's not Sunday at 1, this is going to be awesome. I'll be able to watch it. And then it did come out. Actually, I think it was right before or at least I saw it for the first time, right before the Bills-Dolphins game, that if Buffalo won, the Steelers would be playing there Sunday at 1. The other option would be at Kansas City Saturday night. And then at that point, I'm like, well, I don't know, because the Steelers, I think the matchup, and listen, it's tough either way. The thing with Allen is that there has been he's been turnover prone a little bit this year. And Kansas City also actually is supposed to be worse weather. It is going to be brutally cold. Like it's going to be here in the Happy Valley next week, but Kansas City is going to be like minus temperature wise. So all things considered, I think it's good that the Steelers are in Buffalo. Just for me personally, the 1:00 time slot on Sunday, the only time slot I can't watch the game, at least in its entirety. Hopefully, Penn State gets a bunch of pins and I get home and watch the better part of the second half anyway.
Your two AFC teams are playing in the first round.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I really do have a soft spot for the Buffalo Bills, and obviously I'll be passionately rooting for the Steelers. But yeah, as I've said many times, if the Steelers can't win the Super Bowl, the Bills would be next up on my list of teams I'll be pulling for. So, but yeah, I think the Steelers, if TJ Watt was healthy, I'd feel like it's a pretty even matchup. If you pin me down right now, I think the Bills will win this game. I think the Bills are just a little better across the board. Obviously have the better quarterback. It's just with TJ Watt in there, it's like, man, maybe he gets a turnover that can be a difference maker, or a big sack and a key play that completely turns the field position around. Again, the Steelers, there's other good players there. Highsmith has been a great compliment to Watt. Again, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it'll be the most shocking thing I've ever seen in the NFL if the Steelers win it. It just feels to me, very unlikely with what the Steelers will be putting out there versus what Buffalo will. But really, both teams come in with some momentum, and I think feel good about where they're at right now and the way they're playing. And I will say, Mason Rudolph, I know folks, game managers, and we like to disparage them. Man, Mason Rudolph has done exactly what the Steelers have needed him to do over these last 3 weeks. And if he can do that against Buffalo, I think the Steelers will be in there. I have a tough time seeing how they win this game. I think they can keep it close. I'm just not sure I'm all that confident they can find a way to win it in Buffalo with T.J. Watt not to be found. Yeah.
I mean, that's going to hurt. It's not. It's really, really going to hurt. It's going to smart pretty bad, especially in that type of game too. It's going to be wet and cold. Typical defensive line play. It would be perfect for him to go up against Allen and make some plays. And that's not. It hurts. It stinks. But I'm Buffalo guy, so it is what it is. But more importantly, Ironhead.
Yeah.
What is your feeling on the Peacock thing Saturday night? I think it's. I saw the NFL paid $115 million for or something like that. Where they're going to make make $115 million on that game. I mean, I personally, I would find a thing on my phone or my computer before I'd pay Peacock to do that.
Yeah, I think we already get it, although I have to double check. I would not.
I had it for a year, and then it went away. So it was one of those free trials. So you may have had that, So
yeah, I'm not even sure. I'm not the one that keeps track of our our.
But what's your feel? I mean, if 200 million people go and download the app and they get the Peacock thing, it's going to play right into exactly what the NFL wants, and that is they're going to want to do pay-per-view for all of their games going forward. I mean, that's just the bottom line, right?
Sadly, I think that is the case. I'll be curious to see, what they get. And I mean, we're a football addicted society. I think there's a lot of people that'll stand on principle and they're not going to get it. But there's going to be a ton of people, obviously, that do. And if you're a Chiefs or a Dolphins fan, again, you might not like it, but are you not going to watch that game out of spite for the NFL doing what they're doing?
And do you feel as if it's a conspiracy with the Swifties that Kansas City game is on the on pay-per-view?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I don't think.
I just think it's a little weird, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it'll be again brutally cold Saturday night in Kansas City. And listen, the Dolphins are decimated with injuries right now. Yeah. It is never say never, but like that one, I would be shocked if the Dolphins win. For Miami to go to Kansas City, which will be sub-zero temperatures, yes, with the team that the Dolphins have. I know the Chiefs have had some problems, but you're telling me they're not going to be able to exploit a defense that is, this is almost a Florida State-esque defense that the Dolphins are throwing out there, meaning that the players that contributed all season long, very few of them are going to be out there on the field for Miami against Kansas City. I just think this is a brutal matchup, and when you factor in Arrowhead, you think the Dolphins are winning this thing?
I think the Dolphins have a better shot over Kansas City than Pittsburgh has over Buffalo, to be honest.
I mean, with T.J. Watt out, I think it's probably pretty comparable. I give the Dolphins virtually no chance of beating Kansas.
They still got to stop. I mean, is Mostert playing? Is Waddle playing? Because Tyreek Hill Tyreek Hill is absolutely unbelievable. And he's played in Kansas City for years, so he knows the weather. I mean, it's going to come down to Tua again, as usual. What can he do in that type of weather? I mean, is he a mutter? Who knows? We're going to find out real soon. Yeah. He plays in Miami, a pretty controlled environment, in my opinion. Alabama, from Hawaii. So has he really ever played in ice, really cold, sloppy conditions? Interesting.
I think the Chiefs win by at least 2 touchdowns. I think that the Texans-Browns game, I do think is a fascinating one, Goon. Like that one, that's the early game. Well, early 4:30 game on Saturday. That kicks off the weekend. That one to me is fascinating. The quarterback matchup there is fascinating. You have the wily veteran making a return in a starting and starring role in the NFL, and you have the new young buck who is just unfazed seemingly by anything here in his rookie season. I mean, the Texans, well, really, both these teams are great stories this year for different reasons. Obviously, Cleveland trying to buck a lot of history there in Cleveland and try to get to the Super Bowl. But the Texans, with a new coach, new quarterback, very low expectations at the start of the season, and at home now, not just in the playoffs, at home, that is a really intriguing game to me. That's probably, for me, I know there's some other great matchups here. The Packers, Cowboys, and the storylines there. Obviously, Buccaneers, Eagles will be an intriguing one on Monday night. But to me, that Browns-Texans game, the first game of the entire weekend, to me, might just be the most fascinating watch for the fans who don't have a rooting interest.
Yeah, did you see Joe Flacco's comment last week that if he had made a mistake in high school, he probably could be one of these players' dads, his teammates' dads.
Yeah,
being a 39-year-old. So great story, love it. I don't know how good Houston is because of that division, but I know how good Cleveland is because of their division. So that's where I'm lying right there on that one.
You are listening to the Goon and Ironhead Show, WFXS, Pleasant Gap State College. We appreciate your doing so on this Tuesday afternoon. Packers Cowboys is the late Sunday afternoon game after the Steelers Bills kicks off Sunday at 1. What are you thinking here, Goon? Obviously, Dallas at home. Very different team than on the road. Jordan Love kind of getting his first taste of the playoffs. And Dak Prescott, certainly an MVP candidate at the very least this year.
Well, we're going to see. We talk about Penn State being Penn State football being monotonous of getting fired up, going around, losing to Michigan, losing to Ohio State, getting fired up, and just doing the whole same thing over and over. What's Dak going to do in the playoffs? He's done everything he can do in the regular season, so it's on him. It's the biggest bugaboo in his world has always been playoff football. So, and not just him. I'm to be honest, it's the Cowboys because Tony Romo was just as bad before him. So, will be interesting to see how Dak plays out. He has a great support of characters, cast of characters around him too. And CeeDee Lamb is unbelievable this year. But they got to prove it in the playoffs. It'll be very, very interesting to see how they perform in the playoff. And, Jordan Love, Green Bay got a horseshoe up their butt with getting some pretty damn good quarterbacks and drafting them and they're panning out pretty good. So, at one point this year, there was talk of him getting benched for Sean Clifford, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And then he completely turned that season around for him and that team. So, showed faith in him, kept their faith in him, and he's paying benefits, paying off for them. So that's going to be a good game. I like that game. The other one is Jared Goff in Detroit, and Stafford coming back to Detroit as the villain quarterback. And there's some pretty cool scenarios going on in these games, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the Sunday night game. The Rams at the Lions. Detroit hosting a playoff game. What? What can you imagine, Goon? I think it's an unlikely scenario, but I don't think it's like absolutely crazy. But can you imagine? Because I really can't, but I kind of want to, but I don't really, because it would mean Cleveland would be in there. But could you imagine a Browns versus Lions Super Bowl?
That'd be awesome.
I mean, it would be the equivalent of a Cubs Red Sox before, 20 years ago, a Cubs Red Sox World Series. The Detroit Lions versus the Cleveland Browns in the Super Bowl. Don't think it's happening, but you never know. I do like Detroit. Love kind of the storyline there. That place will be revved up. I think that is fair to say.
Yeah.
At Ford Field on Sunday night. And then Monday night, a Monday night playoff game with the Buccaneers hosting the Philadelphia Eagles, who I think it's fair to say swooned down the stretch this season.
Do birds limp? Because they're on life support going down to Tampa Bay. So, I mean, a good matchup for them because Tampa Bay is obviously the weakest of the wild card teams out there, or the division winners, excuse me. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see which team shows up. Is it going to be the veteran team? I mean, I'm afraid that what I'm watching right there out there is the team quit on Sirianni. They don't want to play for him. And that's crazy to think about that. And within 1 year that happened, that went through that whole roster of, they don't trust him. They don't like him type of thing. And, maybe they had they had an OC and a DC last year leave to take over Arizona and Indianapolis. I mean, was it them that was doing real well for this team leading the Super Bowl? Or was it Sirianni? Who knows? So one big thing back is Big Dom will be on the sideline after his suspension is up. So he's out there. They're 1-6 without Big Dom on the sideline. That's the key. That is the key, Ironhead.
All right.
Hey, so I got some questions for you, bud.
Yes, sir.
So if you look at where football is going right now, after watching that game last night and Michigan just run the ball, right? And then you got teams like, the Ravens, the 49ers, the Detroit Lions are all running the football, and they are all dominating right now. I'm interested to see if that will make a change back to get away from this pass-happy offenses that we've been playing college through the NFL and go back to this ground and pound smash-mouth football. Because, I mean, I know I use this term a lot. You and I have talked in the past that, about 25 years ago, high school coaches used to put their running back, their best player at running back.
Yeah.
And then that turned into, okay, well, then why don't you put your best athlete at quarterback and he can touch the ball every play, and if a pass breaks down, he can make a play happen with his running game. So that worked its way up into college, and now look at the NFL right now. You don't have any kind of drop back quarterback type of you have to have the threat of a running quarterback as an option right now in the NFL. And then you have these teams like I just mentioned, the 49ers with McCaffrey, the Lions, and then the 49ers and the Ravens just working that run game. I mean, are we going to go back to where they're going to be, a power running team in the NFL like they were 15 years ago? And i.e., are we going to start paying running backs again? Or are we just going to do, trial, 5 or 6 guys at one position?
Well, I mean, I don't think you're going to, I don't think running backs are going to become the highest paid position again at any time. But, I do think there is importance in football in being able to run the ball when you need to. And, football is that one sport where you play, outside of lightning, you play in the elements no matter what they are, minus 25 degrees, crazy winds and rain, whatever it is. And it's why that's why I don't feel good about Miami's chances at all at Kansas City is one, the injuries, but also I just don't think that that team is built for the elements. Miami is one of those teams that, when the conditions are good, that passing game can be fantastic, but passing games don't always travel. There are certainly quarterbacks that are good in the elements. I understand that, but I don't care how good of a quarterback you are. if you are getting wind gusts of like 45 miles an hour, and it is brutally cold, or the rain is just pouring down, again, even if you deliver the ball accurately, it's that much harder for the receivers to hang on to it, and you get funny bounces, and it's, you get interceptions that aren't even your fault type of thing. And so, yeah, running games always travel well, right? Like that's you can. So
all elements.
Yeah, I don't think. I do think there's an advantage to having a quarterback who can run. I don't know that you necessarily need the quote unquote running quarterback, but you need somebody. And JJ McCarthy was a great example last night. And I realize not needed for the weather conditions, but Michigan's offense was getting stymied a bit. Washington did a good job of adjusting and kind of selling out to stop the run. And then McCarthy broke off those 2 runs, that one really big one, and then I think you got like 9 yards on that, the one right after it, the designed run. And it seemed to me, Goon, that just kind of loosened everything back up again for Michigan. And that's when, really I think they, in essence, put the game away. So I do think having, yes, a good run game in general, but having a quarterback who at least provides that threat is a huge asset when you get to this time of the year and you get to places like Buffalo or to Arrowhead Stadium on a Saturday night. Again, home field advantage is a big deal. The Dallas Cowboys, fantastic in that wonderful facility at home. Can they get it done when they need to go on the road? We're going to find out. I think they will prevail in the opening round. Not that I think it's a gimme against the Packers, but I think at home and with Dallas playing the way it is, I think they find a way to win that. But I don't have great faith that they can go on the road and get the job done there. I think the running game is important. I don't think you're going to see a great switch overall in football to where it's run heavy.
Yeah.
But yes, I do think that the teams that run effectively, consistently well, are going to have more consistent success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what it's going to go. I think the NFL will bounce back to that a little bit and get rid of this pass happy offenses and say, you know what, you still got to be able to run the ball at all times. You still got to do it. So be interesting to see where that goes. So NFC, I'm pretty much locked in on the it's the 49ers are going to go. I mean, they're just loaded, man. I mean, they are just top to bottom defensively, run game, pass game. They got it all going. So they would need something really bad to happen for them to lose, in my opinion, to not go to the Super Bowl. And in the AFC, I mean, I know I'm rooting for my wife's team, but I mean, I could see Cleveland, dude. That defense is really, 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 really good. And they can shut some people down. And, you got Flacco, who for some reason in his career, he makes one mistake a game. He always makes a mistake. So make him make a couple mistakes and, you can beat him. But I just have a feeling that Cleveland might be going this year to the Super Bowl, and that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, I don't think they get. I do think, if it ends up being a Ravens versus Browns, like it'll be great for those. Like the fan bases will be fired up, and that'll be a fun one in terms of the divisional matchup. But for me, I mean, it's going to harken back to that, like the Mets Yankees World Series, the Subway Series. Like, what are you doing to me? It's just going to be awful because I want both those teams to lose badly. But it does not do my heart good to say, but I kind of think of the Ravens the way you think of the 49ers in terms of the AFC. I just think they're the most complete team. Lamar Jackson obviously is the difference maker for the Ravens, but I just think that they are such a complete team. And now that they are pretty much healthy going into the playoffs. I have a hard time seeing either the 49ers or the Ravens losing. And I'm sure we've gone into past playoff scenarios where it's like, well, no, you know who the best two teams are, and they don't both end up there. It really does feel to me like this year that is the situation we're in. Those two teams have just separated themselves a little bit, and really kind of like Michigan and Washington, the only two undefeated teams. They got past stiff tests in the semifinals. I have the feeling it's going to be the same way. And actually, I think the Super Bowl is going to play out much the same way. And that I think San Francisco, as good as Baltimore is, and I think they're really, really good, I just think San Francisco is such a complete team that, you give them a little time to prepare there, and they'll take care of business. And I don't think it'll be a blowout in the Super Bowl, but I think the 49ers win it without needing last-second heroics.
Interesting, but I want to see what Lamar does. He hasn't shown me in the playoffs what he can
can do. I think that now that he's healthy,
he has to get through that.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, you obviously don't know what's going to happen here on the injury front or anything like that either in the playoffs. That can obviously affect the projections going in. But if everybody is, in essence, the same team that they are now going through the playoffs, meaning health-wise, you're seeing the players that have been there all season. To me, it feels clear-cut that San Francisco and Baltimore will end up squaring off in the Super Bowl. We're going to take
we got to get some upsets in there.
We're going to take a break here. We'll talk much more on the other side. You are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. Get yourself over to Quaker Steak and Lube and enjoy the wing buffet. We're looking forward to being back there on Thursday. And again, we're coming right
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Your hands it, busboy. Your wings suck. I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half-century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
Man, I love those guys. Oh, that's us. We're back. And you are tuned in on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox in the Center County area. And, of course, on Facebook Live and all of the favorite places that you catch the Goon and Ironhead show online. We do appreciate your tuning in on this Tuesday. And we get ready for the NFL playoffs this weekend. We look back at the college football season that was. And for Penn State, now we make the turn to next year, Goon. Do like the fact that they've continued to pick up some good, I think, needed transfers out of the portal. They did have another offensive lineman enter the portal. It was a lineman that played in one game over the last 4 years. So I think they're going to be okay there. But Nolan Rucci is a big one. I know a lot of fans were very disappointed. Some, I would even use the term distraught when Rucci decided to go to Wisconsin initially out of high school rather than following his father Todd's footsteps and his mom's footsteps at Penn State. But he's coming home, as they say, and I think will be a nice boost to the offensive line and that tackle spot. And I think when you combine that with getting the help that they needed at wide receiver and getting that help from another Big Ten school. Thank you, dear Buckeyes. Although Ohio State then turns around and snags Ole Miss's running back, which, that one hurts a little bit if you're Penn State because that kid is good. But the transfer portal cycle continues. All in all, Goon, I know Penn State does not bring in a bunch. I'm okay with that. It feels like they're getting some good fits and two really significant ones there. I know they got an edge rusher as well, or at least a defensive end as well from Wisconsin, along with the kicker from Tulsa. So they've been selective, and I think that's the right approach when it comes to the transfer portal. I much prefer that as a fan or somebody following the program than all right, we're going all in and we'll just bring in a new team and they'll get us to the promised land.
Yeah. With Rucci, I played with Todd. He was my guy. I played with him for 2 years. So drove me home from Philadelphia to and from a lot of times. So spent a lot of time with Rucci. His son wanted to play with his brother. That's the bottom line. That was Nolan's older brother just declared for the NFL draft as a tight end with Wisconsin. So the brother's not going to be there. So I think that he felt compelled to go to Penn State, but because he grew up a Penn State fan with his mom and his dad. And then when his brother did leave Wisconsin, and it's just the right move. I mean, I talked to Todd the other day. I say, how happy are you? You have an hour and a half drive to come see your kid, not a 12-hour drive to go see him play right now. And he goes, oh, my God, you have no idea. I said, I can't imagine. So good for him, good for Rucci. And great for Penn State. So this will be a little lesson to every Penn State fan who gets on Twitter and talks to high school kids. And this is why you don't burn bridges. You know, you got a kid like Fleming who left here and Rucci, both number one players in the state of Pennsylvania 3-4 years ago, who have now circled back and they're coming to Penn State. So hopefully, a lot of people who were mad at those guys and saying a lot of stuff, and hopefully they learn their lesson not to do that because it may always come back. You know, you never know. I think it's great. And it goes back to our point, Jeff, of, how much money are you going to put into high school recruiting now versus your transfer portal recruiting? You have a guy like Rucci out there who can play. He's played in the Big Ten. He hasn't started, but he only had 1 year to play. So he has played in the Big Ten. So he is a proven commodity. So he's actually very good. We know that. Fleming's good. So it's like, okay, so why go out and take chances on high school kids when you can go out into the transfer portal and do this? So it's just an added, bonus or venture. And if you look at what we're losing to what we're bringing in, it's pretty impressive. I think we have 4 kids in the portal. Not one of them was a starter. There's no starters out there leaving from our team. So again, as James has said, every year he has to recruit his team every year, and he's doing a hell of a job keeping these guys together.
Yeah,
you're bringing in two Pennsylvania kids who were the players, the number 1 players in the state, and you didn't get them the first time, but now you got them. Now you got to take advantage of it and roll with it.
We talked earlier about how college sports is changing and the landscape continues to change, and I think the whole feel of it is going to change even more substantially here in the coming years. I do think what James Franklin has done in creating that family, or what I think of as a college culture at Penn State, where, yes, you're going to bring in some players here and there. You can't not take advantage of the transfer portal and be a big-time player in college athletics. And it's the same way with the NIL. I think Penn State is not doing what Texas A&M did, and it's like, hey, we'll just open up the purse strings and let the money fly. I think they've been a little more deliberate about it, and at the end of the day, maybe it's hurting them in some cases, but I think the feel you have around this team, and you were closer to it than I was this year, Goon, with talking with the players on the Players Show and that sort of thing. I think there is a real value to that for the student athletes and for their families coming here and getting that experience, going to classes, getting that experience, doing some things outside of the football field in the community, getting that experience. I think that is all the right way to do it. And it goes back to some of the discussion we had during the season, where I understand the frustration of fans in the moment. I'm right there with you. It's, man, we want to win everything. We can't beat Michigan or Ohio State. That stinks. We need to move on. We need to find somebody else. Do you, or do you really value what Penn Staters always say they value, which is, yeah, we like having student athletes. Penn State has student athletes. We like the family feel. We're special. Are you? Because special places don't just push guys out the door and bring in the next hot commodity. They stick with their guys, develop them, and develop those bonds that last a lifetime. There's a lot of things going on in college athletics right now, right? There always have been, but even more so now that the floodgates have opened to an even greater degree. I think it is more difficult than ever, Goon, to try to navigate those waters, take advantage of the situation where it makes sense, but keep what I term the family or college feel, a true collegiate feel to the program. I don't know that some of these programs really have that. I'm talking about the big-time successful programs. I don't know that I would describe Texas as having a collegiate feel to it. I'm not sure even Alabama now, and I obviously respect the heck out of what Nick Saban has done and the way Alabama goes about things, but I don't know that I would call that a collegiate feel to the program down there. It very much has a business-like professional approach. Speaking just for me, I kind of prefer what Penn State's doing and the way they're doing it. And again, speaking for just me, and I know I'm not speaking for some of my friends, I would rather do the 10-2 or 10-3 seasons and keep that feel, keep this good all-around experience, and not sell out isn't the right term, but go all in on everything you can do to just win, and win now, baby, in college sports. Again, speaking just for myself, I prefer the Penn State way. And by the way, I am not saying that you can't win at the highest levels the Penn State way. I'm not saying I want 10-3 and I'm satisfied with it and just leave it there. I want the Penn State way and I want national titles. I'm with you on that. But if you're asking me, do I want the national title so badly that I want to go all in and let's spend another $3 million on the coach? spend another $5 million on bringing in the best players from all over the country. Nope, I'm okay doing it the way Penn State's doing it. And if that means, I don't think it does, but if that does mean, yep, you're not one of the top 4 teams, you're just one of the top 10, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too. I'm 100%. I mean, yes, you want to have a competitive team out there. We have that competitive team. Are we competing for national titles? This time next year, it might be a whole different story. Where we had a playoff game, we could feel happy about that. I'm not happy how this year ended, and with the expectations we had, losing to the same 2 teams over and over and over again, which is getting monotonous. But I'm with you. You do respect and love the fact that the players, once they get here, it's the old story. I won't say his name, but there's an old football coach here who I talk to all the time, and he said, just tell the recruits they just got to get here. That's all it is. You just got to be around it, be here. And like you said, it was a family atmosphere where when James says, we're going to bring the family back together for the weekend, that's 100% true in my opinion. I think that's the Penn State way, is that we thrive on that, in that mentality. And I like that is still here within our players. I mean, our players aren't jumping ship. And like I said, we have 4 guys in the transfer portal who aren't going to be missed whatsoever. Good luck to them. They were probably never going to play here. So I get it. But yeah, there is an atmosphere here that players want to come play here, want to come play for James. And, would you want to win a national title? Of course you do. So it's all there. It's got to get there. How do we get there? Do you do it through high school recruiting like James has done very well historically? Or maybe it's the transfer portal that, you pick and choose a couple guys here and there to fill in some spots that you have and some needs that you have. And offensive line is one of them. I mean, Nolan Rucci can step right in and play for Olu right now and hopefully not miss a beat. I mean, that's fantastic.
It is. I think that's a big deal. And even with the ones they're bringing in, obviously they're bringing in players that they feel are good and can contribute. But they're also guys that they already had connections with, and they feel like, again, with Rucci and Fleming, it feels like they're coming home, right? Like from Penn State's perspective, it's like, well, no, this is where you belonged all along. And it's not just going out and let's find the next hot shot. Now, that being said, just so we're clear, it's not as though I think James Franklin, if the best wide receiver prospect out there or the best quarterback in the world out there says, hey, I want to come to Penn State, the Penn State says, nope, we're sticking with our guys. Like, part of this is, it is competitive sports. You are trying to get the best team you can put out there. But in football, it really is, it's about that team. Like basketball or wrestling, if you have a weight class where there's a need, right? You still want guys that are locker room guys. I'm not saying that's irrelevant, but those guys can come in and make an immediate impact. Football, no matter how good you are, you need that good team around you, and you need to feel good about that team around you. And I do think that culture component is a bigger deal in football than it is any other sport I can think of.
Yeah, no doubt. What James said in the offseason, he said it's revolting what's going on. It's the wild, wild west with people, what was the word he used? Pillaging? Is that the word he used? That the people were calling on other players and saying, I'll give you this much money to come play here. I mean, poaching players, whatever you want to call it, we haven't had anybody leave. So think about that. I mean, people are getting calls. Our guys are getting calls from other schools to come play for their football program, and they're getting promised money, but they're not going because they're going to stay here. Man, that's a hell of a culture that James has built around here. So I guess that's where we're at now. We're at that point now where it's like, okay, the season's over. Now it's time about rebuilding and, getting fired about our football team again. This is where we're at here, Headley.
Goon, I want to switch topics completely here for a moment and talk a little bit about the end of that Saints-Falcons game.
Ooh.
And just your take as a former player. I have my take, and I'm expecting that it's going to be similar to yours. But what if you didn't see it and you don't know what we're talking about, the New Orleans Saints had the game well in hand. The game was over. It was 41-17 at the time, right?
Yep.
I mean, it was over. You're in the final seconds of the game, and what we now know happened is that Dennis Allen, the Saints coach and the offensive coordinator for the Saints, said hey, kneel down. There's a minute 13 left, I think, when the play was set in. Kneel down. The game's over. Victory formation. Well, they get into victory formation, and Jameis Winston ends up handing the ball off to Jamal Williams. And the defense, of course, not ready because they know they're taking a knee, and they're like, well, go ahead and take the knee. So they're standing around, and Williams goes in and scores, and there's some celebration for Jamal Williams getting the touchdown. There's a couple of things about that bother me, but as a former player, I'm just wanting your perspective on this. They wanted to get Jamal. He had not scored a touchdown all year. They wanted to get him a touchdown, is what Jameis Winston said after the game.
Yeah, I got it. So remember Michigan State when they put the offensive lineman in the backfield 10 years ago? They didn't hide that. They weren't hiding behind the victory formation. So you see victory formation, you're going to stand there and just stand up and shake your opponent's hand, say, good game, let's move on, this and that. They were in victory formation, and they handed the ball off. I mean, my opinion, completely classless. Really, really was. And then some people are mad at Jameis Winston because it was like, well, they made a decision in the huddle to do that. I mean, I think Damian Woody was the one who said, yo, if I was an offensive lineman on that team saying don't do this, he would have told Winston don't do this because it's class. It's disrespect to the Atlanta Falcons, and then you saw how Arthur Smith, whatever his name is, the head coach, he was furious. I mean, there's a guy who was getting it fired. He knew he was a dead man walking, and the guy just, Allen just stepped on his grave, in my opinion, and just insulted him one final time.
But Allen
he didn't know what was coming. I get it, but then he needs to do something to control that locker room if they're going to go out and do something like that. So I can see it like that, where like people are like, well, the coach has no control of that team if they don't respect him enough to do that. So Winston's a strange bird, man. He really, really is. But I saw it as classless on their part because all you do is, like Calais Campbell, who has been in the league 25 years playing D tackle, said, just tell us you're going to run it. Just tell us you're going to run a play. We would have played. You're going to give the ball to this guy. Give it to him fair and square. So it reminds me. So I'm watching the Chiefs game the other day, and I actually called Marco about this. If you watch the Chiefs game, Chris Jones was 1 sack. He had 9.5 sacks. If he got 10 sacks on the season, he got $1.25 million bonus. Now, I sat there and I thought to myself, you know what I would have done if I was him? I would have called somebody who knows one of those offensive guards and said, hey, I got $50,000 for you if you let me get that sack. So I called Marco. I said, dude, has that ever happened? And he goes, he never heard of it or seen it, but he goes, I'm sure it's been done. I mean, think about that. 1.25 and it's going to cost you $50K. It's a hell of an investment. That's a pretty good day at the office, in my opinion. But that's the way I looked at it. It was, I get it. Williams, the guy who had the touchdown from New Orleans, led the league in touchdowns last year. He had 0 this year. I think that was the scenario. So they wanted to get him a touchdown.
It was.
So it is what it is. I mean, but yes, completely disrespectful to do that out of victory formation. If you want to keep playing and go to the end zone, let them call a regular defense. Don't hide behind the victory formation and then hand the ball off like that. Like I actually said, luckily nobody got hurt, because that's another thing. Again, I told you a million times, if you don't play the game at 100 miles an hour, you can get hurt. You can probably die playing football. So there's a guy, you don't think anything's coming at you, and they're running an offensive down the hill play, a power play right at you. I mean, heck, you're standing up. You might have gotten hurt there. So, yeah, I didn't like it.
The other thing for me, Goon, like I get they wanted to get Jamal Williams the touchdown, and I hear what you're saying as far as a lineman maybe stepping in and saying, hey, let's not do this. Yeah. This is just me, and I've never been in that environment. But if I'm Jamal Williams, am I not going to them and saying, well, no, I want to score like a legit
I don't want sympathy.
Yeah, this is going to be like it's going to show up as a touchdown on the stat sheet. I get it, but it's not a touchdown. I mean, like a touchdown is something you earn, and this is literally they're giving it to us because we are pretending that we're ending the game. I don't know, maybe I missed it. I didn't see if Williams commented after the game. Like, I just can't imagine that he was walking off the field saying, yeah, I got a touchdown, man. Take that. Yeah, I feel good. Like, really? Off of a victory formation in a 41-17 game, like Jamal Williams is going to walk off the field saying, yeah, proved something there. No, you didn't. You didn't prove anything.
Did he get a bonus? Was there a bonus involved that they wanted to do that for him or anything like that? Is that what?
Or they just wanted to give him a touchdown? I don't think with a touchdown. I don't know that for sure. I haven't seen that posted anywhere, and that is not something that Winston mentioned in the post-game interview that there was a bonus. He just said they wanted to get him a touchdown. And yeah, I don't know if I necessarily blame the coach. I am telling you, I, as a coach, would have no trust in Jameis Winston moving forward. It's like if you give a direct command, and I'm with you. If you're going to disobey the command, then disobey it completely. Nope, we're not doing victory formation. We're running a play. At least then it's, we can argue about whether or not you should be doing that when you have a chance to just run the clock out and you're up 41-17. But if you are doing that, then do it. Line up, come up under center or get in the shotgun, run your normal formation and let the defense respond. At least you can have some level of respect. Now, truthfully, again, when you're in that situation, even if you're getting that touchdown, quote unquote, legitimately, like why? What is the point? I genuinely don't think, even if it was a quote unquote legit touchdown and you're lining up, a minute 13 in garbage time of a 41-17 game, I just find it hard to believe that Jamal Williams, the competitor, is going to take any real satisfaction in that quote unquote accomplishment. Just run the clock out. You're asked to run the clock out, run the clock out. It's not that complicated.
It's very disrespectful is what it is. And this isn't Jameis's first time doing something like that. So I think it's on him pretty much. But yeah, why would the coach trust him anymore?
I don't think you could. And I think it hurts Jameis's stock moving forward. I don't know why any coach, I really don't, why you would want him on your team. And listen, every now and then, maybe you put up with kind of garbage like that from a transcendent talent. Jameis Winston, a very good athlete, obviously. If you're playing in the NFL, you're a very good athlete. I'm not sitting here telling you he's a bum. But in terms of NFL quarterbacks, no, he's not elite. He's not something unbelievable. And he's not something that you need to put up with that kind of BS. Like, if a Patrick Mahomes did that, yeah, you need to have a long, serious conversation. But that's kind of the point. Is a Tom Brady, a Patrick Mahomes, a Tua Tagovailoa. Those guys aren't doing that stuff. They're not telling the coach, no, forget it. I know you want us to kneel out, but we got to get this guy a touchdown because we love him and we know he's going to feel great about scoring a touchdown when we're pretending that we're running the clock out. Like, it's just utter nonsense, and it wouldn't be done by the elite quarterbacks in the league, and it should not have been done by Jameis Winston. And I don't blame Arthur Smith for being upset. Obviously, he did not know the situation that had occurred, and I can understand him thinking that the call came in from the sideline because that is the way that is supposed to work on these NFL teams. And that's the other thing, is you really cause, to me, Jameis Winston put his coach in a bad position.
Mhm.
I think he puts the running back in a bad position. I think the running back now looks like I think he looks like a jerk, Goon. I really do. It's like, he scored a touchdown. Take that. It's you scored a touchdown with nobody trying to guard you. I mean, it's like I don't know. It's like scoring against the Washington Generals.
It's sympathy. I mean, exactly. I mean, how does he not walk off the field saying, you know what? It was given to me, so I respect that his teammates wanted to do that for him, but as a competitor, you're probably like, no, I don't want that. You know, I don't need that sympathy. So I just got word, by the way, Headley, that the Lube will have the Chiefs Dolphins game Saturday night on the big screen. They're going to have it on the 112-inch screen that's in the restaurant. So anybody can watch it if that's sitting in the restaurant. So there's even more reason to go to the Lube and not have to spend extra money buying a subscription to Peacock and giving Roger Goodell more money. There you go.
Yeah, and listen, I don't think it's like many of the other things going on in sports. I don't like it, but I don't see anything stopping this train toward more and more of the streaming services taking over sports. Like,
well, that's fine. I mean, that's more money for the NFL. Imagine that. Holy crap, man. Wow. But then what do you lose? I mean, it goes back to the bowl games, and you're watching like 3/4 empty stadiums pretty much, and then ESPN, I don't understand how bowls are staying. Like, if they're not selling tickets, how are they making money? Sponsorship deals, television deals. I mean, that's going to dry up eventually.
From the business side of it too, Goon, it is going to be interesting to see, like, how devastating is this if that move continues, and it's going to streaming services. Cable TV companies, I mean, sports are a big part of why people are paying what they're paying.
Well, would you have cable television if it wasn't for live sports?
Me, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Now, our household probably would. There's a few other things that we're interested in as a household, but me personally, if it was just me, no. Yeah. And if the sports are not going to be there, and I'm talking about the live sports. I get that there will be shows about sports still there, but it's the live sports. It's that watching the live experience that is what draws you in. And if that's not there, like this whole industry, it's just like what we've seen happen with print. And I think cable is going to be kind of next on the chopping block here, where it's still going to exist, but it is not going to be anywhere near the dominant form that it has been for.
The dynamics have changed. Everything's changed. I mean, so now let's think about this. How many stations have NFL games right now? We have CBS, Fox, NBC, ESPN, Peacock, Amazon.com, and the NFL Network. And that's a lot of stations right there for these different games. So, what do they do? I always really very much enjoyed the NFL package, the NFL like Sunday ticket type of thing. If that's the case, that's fine. If we got to get that once a year, that's fine. But I don't know. Have they've talked about this before, or did this just get dropped on this weekend, this Saturday night Peacock thing?
Well, I think when they went to Amazon last year with the Thursday night, I mean, there were a lot of articles written that, hey, this is just a trial run. This is kind of the wave of the future.
But most people have Amazon, though. Peacock, Amazon Prime, right? Do you have Amazon Prime Network? Because you have an Amazon.
We did, but apparently we did. Yes.
Yeah. See, most people have an Amazon account. I don't think many people have a Peacock account.
Yeah, I don't know about that with the Amazon. I don't know what when you say most, I mean, I think
you and us
had at one point where, I mean, a lot of people had it, but there were a ton of people that didn't. Yeah. But listen, I think it's the same. Kids today probably can't believe there was a time when you could watch boxing, like big time boxing matches on TV, on network television. That's where the big boxing matches were. And you started the pay-per-view stuff. And eventually that's where all the stuff is headed. And there will be a lot of complaining about it. I'll complain about it. And that's the way it'll be. And if you want to watch it, that's what you're going to do. And I think enough people will want to watch it that it's going to make business sense for them. And there will be some
watch it at home or watching it at a restaurant, because that's what I'll do. I'm not going to. I know it's a free month and it's $6.99 a month, but I mean that's the point. That's what I'm trying to say is that I don't know.
But if you're going out to a restaurant, now you're paying, obviously that much more when you talk about food, and it's going to be factored into the cost at the restaurant and all of that. I hear what you're saying, and I think a lot of people will look at it that way, but the bar is still going to be, or the restaurant is still going to be paying for it. Like their bottom line is it's going to make business sense for them. And at the end of the day, my guess is they'll lose a handful. There will be people that will, no, I'm absolutely not doing it. And there's part of me that would love to be that person, but I know me and I know my addiction to live sports. And it's like, I'm not going to be happy about it, but I'm going to
don't lie to me.
I need to do to see it.
You want to see Taylor Swift.
Well, who doesn't? I mean, the world is right with Travis and Taylor.
Yep.
Just a matter of time.
Yoko Ono Swift.
Until we get the proposal. I really thought it was going to be New Year's Eve, Goon. Thought he was going to do it. Maybe he's hoping they get to the Super Bowl and he'll do it right at halftime of the Super Bowl. Taylor, come down here on the field halftime. They'll steal the halftime show.
He does the halftime show and just says, you know what? I'm out. I'm getting married.
Oh, my God.
I saw a stat yesterday about Travis Kelce. He and Rob Gronkowski are the same age.
Is that right?
Wow. That's crazy to think about. That's how bad Gronk got beat up and how long, like, Kelce's career is very long. It's very, very impressive.
That is a fact on both counts.
And Taylor Swift makes more money in 1 year than Travis has made in his whole career.
Yes. Well, she's done okay for herself.
She's done very well for a girl from Wyoming.
How about it? Dear Goon, we appreciate your playing through the pain today. We really do. That is the Dear Goon checking in remotely today. I'm at the radio station today. Hopefully, the plan is we'll both be back at Quaker Steak and Lube, our home. We encourage you to get down there, check out the sports action, check out the great food and beverage, check out the great service. Our thanks to Quaker Steak and Lube for being our normal home of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. And we will talk to you again on Thursday. Until then, be good and be safe.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Your hands, busboy. Your wings suck. I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.